Today, I would like to speak also a little bit about the purpose and the benefit of undertaking a pilgrimage. So what is the purpose and benefits of undertaking a pilgrimage to the holy sites of India? Because, well, obviously, we are not the first ones to undertake a pilgrimage, and many people have chosen to do that and seem to derive some benefits from that. So what are the benefits of that? So, and what do we also mean with the term pilgrimage? And how is it different from a normal sightseeing tour? Just going jalan-jalan, going here, going there? Or how is a pilgrimage different from that? So let us look at how Wikipedia defines the term pilgrimage. Wikipedia explains, a pilgrimage is a journey often into an unknown or foreign place, where a person goes in search of new or expanded meaning about themselves. So either looking inside into oneself, or others, or nature, or a higher good. So it's for introspection. And it also explains that pilgrimages frequently involve a journey or search of moral or spiritual significance. So you see, so there's a moral, a spiritual value in going on a pilgrimage. It's not just going jalan-jalan, looking here, looking there, like going shopping. No, there's a deeper spiritual meaning behind it. And this is really important for us to keep in mind. And typically, it's a journey to a shrine or other location of importance to a person's beliefs and faith. Many religions attach spiritual importance to particular places. For example, the place of birth or death of founders or saints, or to the place of their calling or spiritual awakening. So, remember, we are also going to the place where the Buddha himself attained awakening. So, where spiritual awakening has happened for the founder of Buddhism, of our trust, of our faith, of our philosophy and way of life. So, Buddhism is no exception here. But also to locations where miracles were performed or witnessed. Also in the Christian tradition, there are many holy sites where supposedly miracles have happened, or locations where a deity is said to live or be housed, or any site that is seen to have special spiritual powers. And sometimes, when I go to some of these places, you can actually feel a little bit the energy there, because so many generations of people, monks, meditators from all over the world have visited. So some of these places are almost like supercharged with spiritual energy. And when you sit down at such a place to meditate, many people notice that the meditation is much easier than other times, and goes better, and the mind gets focused, sharp, and insights come more easily. Not for everyone, but some very clearly experience like that. Then, Wikipedia also explains that such sites may be commemorated with shrines or temples that devotees are encouraged to visit for their own spiritual benefit. Like many of those important places, temples have been built by the different traditions to commemorate those special occasions. Or some people go on pilgrimage, maybe more in Christian traditions, to be healed or have questions answered, or to achieve some other spiritual benefit. And I think this is really the key here, that this is about spiritual benefit, not just worldly benefits or enjoyment. And lastly, a person who makes such a journey is called a pilgrim. a pilgrim. So we will all be pilgrims. Whether you're a monk, a nun, a male or female lay devotee, we are all pilgrims together. So this is the summary from Wikipedia of how they understand and define what is the meaning of a pilgrimage. And I think quite a few points from that also overlap with our Buddhist understanding of why and what it means to go on a pilgrimage. One question that sometimes comes up in my mind is this. What do you think? Would the Buddha approve of us going on a pilgrimage to the holy sites of India? Or would the Buddha just say, meditate, just meditate and practice the Dhamma wherever you are? Would he encourage people to travel all around the world to visit some places? Or would he rather say, doesn't matter where you are, you can meditate anywhere. Don't waste your time going to India. What do you think? What do you think would the Buddha say? I'm curious. Actually, can you key in the chat whether you think the Buddha would approve of our pilgrimage or not? You can use the chat group and write yes if you think the Buddha would approve, and write no if you think the Buddha would not approve. Let me see. The yeses are coming in already. Wow. Everybody believes yes. It seems most people think or hope that the Buddha would approve, huh? Well, let us see. Actually, there is one sutta where the Buddha explains and speaks about that. We find that sutta in Anguttara Nikaya. Anguttara Nikaya, Book of Force, Discourse number 118. Anguttara 4, 118. There the Buddha says, Bhikkhus, these four inspiring places, there are four inspiring places, should be seen by a clansman endowed with faith. A clansman endowed with faith refers to any devotee, male or female, any follower or disciple of the Buddha. There are four inspiring places that should be seen and visited. What for? The first one is the place where the Tathagata, the Buddha, was born. That is an inspiring place that should be seen by a clansman endowed by faith. So the birthplace of the Buddha, of the Bodhisattva, this is the first place that the Buddha says is worthwhile visiting. We're lucky. So we have approval for the first place. What else? The Buddha also says, the place where the Tathagata awakened to the unsurpassed perfect enlightenment, that too is an inspiring place that is worthwhile visiting. So the place of the Buddha's awakening, where he became from the Bodhisattva, the Buddha to be, he became the actual Buddha, where he transformed from being a Puthujjana to an Arya, to a Sammasambuddha even. So that's also a worthwhile place to visit. Number 3, the place where the Tathagata set in motion the unsurpassed wheel of the Dhamma, the Dhammacakka. Now, I think many of us Buddhists, we know about the Dhamma wheel symbolism. What the Buddha was teaching, the first sermon, the first discourse, the Dhammacakkappavattana Sutta. That place, the Buddha says, also is an inspiring place that should be seen by a clansman endowed with faith. And number 4, the place where the Tathagata attained final Nibbana, the Nibbana element without residue. So, meaning to say, this is the place where the Buddha passed away eventually. That too is an inspiring place that should be seen and visited by a clansman endowed with faith. So these are the 4 inspiring places that should be seen by a devotee who has trust and faith in the Buddha. From Anguttara Nikaya 4.118. So then let us recap. What was the first one? The birthplace of the Bodhisattva. So now I'm asking you, where was the Bodhisattva born? In India? In India or Nepal? I saw it from our itinerary. We're going to Nepal. Well, nowadays Lumbini, the birthplace of the Buddha, is in present-day Nepal. And we will have that as part of our journey. And if you look at the itinerary, you will see day 4 and 5 of our journey, we will be in Lumbini. So we will visit the birthplace of the Bodhisattva. So check. What else? The place where the Buddha attained awakening. Where is that? Anybody knows? How do we call the place where the Buddha attained awakening? You can write it in the chat. Very famous place. It's called Bodh Gaya. Exactly. Janet, Wangjoy, DK, Siu Hong Lim. Okay, you're right. Bodh Gaya, exactly. So even the name Bodh Gaya already suggests has something to do with Bodhi, Bodh. So because the awakening of the Buddha happened at that place. So of course we also have that as part of our pilgrimage, and we will be there for a number of days actually, from day number 9 to 13. So we'll have a few nights staying at Bodh Gaya. It's a very nice place, many things to see there, also a good place for meditation, and we will have plenty of time for Dhamma discussion, meditation, chanting a little bit. It's a nice place. So this is the 3rd place, but not the 2nd place. Then number 3, what was that about? About the place where the Buddha taught, at first was teaching the discourse to the first disciples, where he was teaching the Dhamma for the first time and set in motion the wheel of Dhamma. That happened in Sāsanārakkha. And again, we will visit that place on day number 14 of our pilgrimage. So, also check Sāsanārakkha. And then there's one place missing. What is it? Looking at the chat, anybody knows what is the last place where the Buddha attained Parinibbana? Nowadays in India, where do we find that place where the Buddha attained Parinibbana? Kushinara, exactly. Right. Yes, Kushinara is the place where we'll go on day number 6 and 7. And even though it's a kind of a sad occasion where the Buddha was passing away, actually the place is very nice. It's one of my personal favorite places of the entire pilgrimage. Because the environment there and the location is very suitable for meditation. They have a huge park, a huge garden there with big trees. And we can just meditate out there for a while or half a day. And very beautiful, nice, natural environment. And very good atmosphere out in nature. So I'm looking forward also especially for visiting Kusinaga. In Pali we say Kusinara. In Sanskrit it's Kushinaga. So also check. So as you can see, we'll cover all these important sites during our pilgrimage, and also some additional ones on the way during our journey. But then, what's so special about worshipping places? Isn't that a bit strange? To go somewhere, to worship a place? Will we become enlightened just by hanging out at these ancient sites? Maybe. Maybe not. I hope. I hope for all of you. But then, even the Buddha recognized and delighted in historically significant places. And this we can also see from another sutta, which we find in Majjhima Nikaya number 81. Majjhima Nikaya 81, the Buddha explains. Actually, that occasion was when the Buddha was traveling together with Ananda, with his disciple who could memorize the Dhamma so well. So they were traveling together on a certain main road. And then they came to a certain place, and then the Buddha smiled. The Buddha started smiling out of nowhere, it seems. Then Ananda, his disciple, thought, what is the reason? What is the cause for the Blessed One to smile? The Tathagatas do not smile for no reason, right? Buddha is not like a crazy person just smiling. No, when the Buddha smiles, there's a good reason for that. So why did the Buddha smile on that occasion? So whenever Ananda arranged his robes over one shoulder, like I'm wearing now, and approached the Buddha with hands in Anjali and said to the Buddha, whenever, Sir, Bhante, what is the reason, what is the cause for the Blessed One's smile? The Tathagatas do not smile for no reason, Ananda says. Then the Buddha explains, Ananda, once in the past, in this place, there was once a prosperous and busy market town called Vepalinga, a city, a market town with the name Vepalinga. And it so happens that there were many people living here. It was crowded with people. And at that time, the Blessed One, the Buddha Kassapa, a previous Buddha, accomplished and fully enlightened, he lived near the market town Vepalinga. So the Buddha recollects the ancient times where an earlier Buddha, long ago, lived at that place where previously there was a city, the market town called Vepalinga. And the Buddha explains, it was here, in fact, that the Blessed One Kassapa Buddha, had his monastery. And it was here that the Blessed One Kassapa, where he sat and advised the Sangha of bhikkhus. So this is the place where Kassapa Buddha was teaching the Sangha, was teaching the monks the Dhamma. And the Buddha recollected that. And by having this memory, he smiled on that occasion. Interesting. So from this we can see that even a Buddha can delight in places of historical significance, you can say. In this case, the place where a previous Buddha has established his main monastery and where he taught the Dhamma to the Sangha. However, it's important to mention also that a pilgrimage is not compulsory for Buddhists. Maybe there are some other religions where you must go at least once in your life to the holy site or holy sites. For Buddhists, the Buddha did not say it's compulsory. It's advisable, it can be helpful, it can be inspiring, but it's not compulsory. However, many Buddhists will try to go on a journey to the holy sites of India at least once in their lifetime, like we are planning to do next year. And there are actually many reasons why a Buddhist might want to go on a pilgrimage. So let's look at that together, at the reasons why one might want to go on a pilgrimage. So as you know, the topic of today's Dhamma sharing is what are the purpose and benefits of going on a pilgrimage. And the first one is it can deepen one's faith in the Buddha, the Dhamma, and the Sangha. So by going to these inspiring places, one's saddha, the faith in the Triple Gem, will be strengthened and awakened and developed. So this is a very common observation that one sees when one goes on pilgrimage, or even after coming back, one notices the inspiration that stays in the heart for quite a bit longer, even after the pilgrimage is over. So this is one of the benefits, we can say. Also, it's an opportunity for connecting to the greater community of Buddhists. So we Buddhists here in Malaysia, we're not living in isolation. So there are also many other Buddhist centers, both in Malaysia, Singapore, overseas, in the whole world. And at Bodh Gaya and some of these places we are going to visit, we will meet and also encounter Buddhists from all over the world. So it's also nice somehow to connect with the larger Dhamma family, you can say. Well, so this is also an additional benefit, I find, of going on a pilgrimage, that is an occasion where one connects with the larger community of Buddhists. Furthermore, it's also a time where one meets Buddhists from different denominations, such as Theravadins, where we belong to, but also Mahayana monks, or devotees, Tibetans, Zen Buddhists, Buddhists from Korea, from Japan, even from Austria. Even Austrian monk will be there, I'm sure. So we will meet Buddhists from all different traditions and see their style of practice, their approach to the Dhamma, how they express their gratitude towards the Buddha and his teachings at these special occasions and these special sites and places. Also quite nice. So getting out of one's small bubble of Buddhist friends and experiencing also the larger Buddhist environment, and in which the Dhamma has flourished and spread in all directions. So this is also one of the benefits that one encounters. Furthermore, one will also learn something about the history of Buddhism and of the spread of Buddhism, and where different discourses, where different speeches were given by the Buddha. So we will visit some of the places and find out, this is the place where the Buddha was giving the first discourse. This is the place where the Buddha spake about the fire sermon. This is the place where the monks were quarreling and disputing. So we'll encounter many of those historical places, and interestingly, later, when we read the suttas, or when we hear a Dhamma talk, after we have come back already from the pilgrimage, and then you encounter some of the suttas that often start with, one time the Buddha was staying at Vulture Peak, at Gaya's Head. And then you have an image in your mind. Vulture Peak, I see, that's that hill with the rock on top. So it's very nice when you hear the suttas and then you know actually the actual places where the Buddha was together with his disciples, where he was giving certain speeches and Dhamma talks. So some of the suttas are filled with a deeper layer of meaning by also being able to picture better the circumstances in which they were delivered. Then also we get to see sites where maybe miracles or supernormal powers were displayed. We get to see those locations. And last but not least, there's also a wonderful opportunity for meditating at places that have been almost like supercharged by meditators from all over the world for hundreds or thousands of years, where people have visited and made journeys towards to meditate and stay there for a while in honor and respect of the Buddha, and also to cultivate their own Dhamma practice at those places. So in this way, multiple benefits can be encountered from going on a pilgrimage. So, which one of them is the most important one? I think they're all relevant, but I find especially the last one very interesting. Also to have time there to meditate together, to do some chanting, to cultivate the mind. Sounds wonderful to be able to visit these very special locations. And last but not least, there is one sutta I would like to share with you. It's actually from a passage from the Mahaparinibbana Sutta in Digha Nikaya number 16. And there the Buddha says that any monk or any nun or layman or laywoman who has faith should visit these places, the holy sites that we have just discussed. And then the Buddha continues to explain that whoever should die on such a pilgrimage, while being on a pilgrimage, with his heart established in faith, at the breakup of the body after death will be reborn in a realm of heavenly happiness. So don't worry. As you can see, our pilgrimage has multiple benefits and would even be a very suitable place for dying. But please don't rush it, I think our organizers, particularly Ankyong, they wouldn't be happy if at the end of our pilgrimage, when we fly back to Malaysia, half of the seats are empty in our plane. Well, let's see how it goes. Anyway, I'm looking forward to undertaking this journey together with all of you next year, and would like to invite now for questions, either related to the Dhamma talk, of the purpose and benefits of going on a pilgrimage, or anything related to those holy sites that we have just discussed. But especially about the purpose and benefit, I think would be a good occasion. If you have any comments or questions to ask, now is the time to do so.
There's something to add on, maybe Bhante. I think that place is itself also a lot of devas too. Okay, devas too actually come to these places and to pay respects. So basically, by being there itself, the presence of the devas itself is actually, when seeing the devas, seeing the pilgrims coming on this pilgrimage tour itself, all this, they do give actually blessings to all of us too. I believe so. Bhante.
Yes, indeed. By the way, Enkyong, how many devas have signed up for our pilgrimage? How many have booked a ticket? They don't need to book a ticket, right? They can go directly. Okay. Now it's true. Many seen and unseen beings at those holy sites. And this is also one of the factors that contributes to the good energy at those places. So we don't have to be afraid of the unseen beings there, because they're all there for our support. And especially a person who keeps his virtue, your 5 precepts, you don't have to worry about devas or yakas or spirits or ghosts. If you maintain your sila, they cannot harm you. So this is your best protection. But we'll speak more on that during our pilgrimage. Let me ask a question. Among the 4 places that we are going, the 4 main places, the birthplace of the Buddha in Lumbini, the place of awakening, then which is Bodh Gaya, and then the place where he was teaching the first sermon, and then the place of his passing away. Which one do you find, not from being there, but just by thinking about it, which of the 4 do you find the most meaningful or the most inspiring in a sense? Not the place, but the occasion itself. Which of the 4 occasions in the Buddha's life do you find is the most maybe important or meaningful for you personally? Anybody would like to share? I can see in the chat already some people writing awakening place, Bodh Gaya. Yeah.
Yes, Brother Wei Choi.
To me, I think most inspiring or most significant will be the place where the Buddha set in motion the wheel of the Dhamma. Because if that did not occur, we will all not be having this teaching. So to me, that's why I think it's very important, because being enlightened is one thing, but his final decision to share and to start sharing. Because I think the Buddha himself may be a bit unsure about people accepting his teaching. That's why after he preached the first sermon, when Kondana sees the path, the Buddha was very excited. So, it's a way to confirm to the Buddha himself that there are people who can understand his teaching. So I think that is why, to me, I feel that the Deer Park in Isipatana is a very significant place. Otherwise, we will all not have the chance to hear this Dhamma. Okay.
Yes, I fully agree. Without that occasion, we would not come together to hear. We would have no reason to go on a pilgrimage because we would not even know that the Buddha has ever lived. So this is a very significant occasion. And in fact, the first place where the Buddha, not the first in our pilgrimage, but the first place of the four, the birthplace of the Buddha. Okay, nice, good to see also, I agree. But being born is not a great achievement, is it? In fact, all of us here, we also managed successfully to be born, right? This is not the greatest achievement that a human being has ever accomplished. Even though we commemorate and honor the place where great beings are being born, in this case, our Buddha, but in terms of spiritual significance, some of the other places are much more relevant and inspiring. I fully agree with what you just said, especially the place of setting in motion the wheel of Dhamma, a very important place. Thanks for sharing. I also see in the chat that many people say Bodh Gaya is their favorite place, most significant. Would anybody who is in favor of Bodh Gaya like to express a little bit, share a little bit why you think that this place is particularly meaningful and important? You can raise your Zoom hand.
Bante, Brother Chai Hin has a question to ask Bante.
Attending awakening and attending nibbana. Can you say what is the difference? Is there any significant importance because the Buddha has attained awakening? Then what is the purpose of attending the nibbana?
The main difference is one is English, the other one is Pali. Awakening is the English translation of the Pali word nibbana. So in that sense, it's the same. But I guess your question means also the meaning between awakening during the lifetime, the nibbana, when the Buddha attained nibbana under the Bodhi tree in Bodh Gaya, in that moment of awakening, but he's still alive and will continue his life as an awakened person until the end of his life. Many years later, in the Buddha's case, he will pass away, and then also we call he attained Nibbana or Parinibbana. In fact, in the suttas, the word Parinibbana is also used even for the first awakening. Pari means all around or complete, full awakening. So in that sense, both terms are interchangeably in the suttas themselves. But nowadays in our Buddhist tradition, we use the word Nibbana. Somebody attains Nibbana, we usually mean during lifetime. So, for example, the Bodhisattva attained Nibbana when he was 35 years old. And then we use the word Parinibbana when he passed away many years later. So, the most spiritually significant event is actually the awakening, the Nibbana that he attained at 35. Because this is the time when all defilements were eradicated and all causes for future rebirth were eliminated. No more craving for existence. No more wrong view. No more attachment. So this is what he all achieved, and all defilements, greed, hatred, delusion, all completely uprooted and eradicated with 35 years. But then, of course, you don't just die just because you attain spiritual awakening. So the Buddha would still continue to live and live a normal life, so to speak, where he would share the Dhamma, making himself available also to spread the teachings, to help also others to attain a similar state of eradication of the defilements. And then when naturally the lifespan of the person, of an arahant, comes to an end, that's what we will call he attains Parinibbana. Parinibbana means when he passes away and the life comes to an end. So what's the difference then between Parinibbana and the death of a normal person? Many people manage to die, right? That also is not so difficult. Many have managed that before, and we also will all be successful in doing that. The difference is that an arahant or a Buddha does not take up another life afterwards, whereas everyone else dies and is reborn, lives, dies, and is reborn, whereas an arahant lives, dies, and game over. So the cessation of samsara, the cessation of becoming, this is what we call parinibbana at the time of death of an awakened person. Does that answer your question?
It seems to me there is not much significant importance of so-called attaining parinibbana. Since
No. It's just the coming to an end of a great life, of a great person, of a person who is worthwhile paying homage to, paying respect towards. And then when that person passes away, we celebrate that, or we call that his entering of parinibbana. But it's not a great attainment at that time. He has already attained what he had to attain long ago. That's why in the suttas, the stock phrase says, when somebody becomes awakened, there's a phrase that often the person might say or think or contemplate. He thinks, birth is exhausted. Birth is finished. The holy life, the spiritual life has been lived. What had to be done has been done. There's no further becoming to any state of being. This is the reflection that a person has at the time of awakening. And then he might still have many years to live until he finally passes away. No? Okay.
Namo Daya. So Bhante just asked, what's another significant place? I think for us is Bodhgaya, because there's a time whereby the Lord Buddha gained enlightenment, and because of the time that he gained enlightenment, that's why we have this. From there, we start to have the Dhamma, because if Lord Buddha didn't get enlightenment, then there won't be the Buddhism or the Dhamma. That's how I see it. And I think there's one question I'd like to ask Ayasma, is that, in Muslim, there's 5 tenets of Islam. One of the tenets is that you have to visit the holy place once in a lifetime. I'm just thinking in Buddhism whether there's any 5 tenets of Buddhism, that, and one of them is visiting the pilgrimage site. Is there such thing?
No. So that's what I meant earlier, that other religions have duty, so to speak, at least once a life. Like you say, in the Muslim faith, once a lifetime you should visit Mecca, and if not, your life is not complete, so to speak. It's not considered good. But for us Buddhists, it's optional. If you choose and wish to go to Bodh Gaya, you may do so. If not, also no problem. So it's not a precondition for awakening. It's not a precondition for attaining any special states. Many people have accomplished that without ever going to Bodh Gaya. And so it's not that important in the ultimate sense. It can be a support for the spiritual practice. By seeing those places, usually our trust, our faith in the Buddha, in the Dhamma, in the Sangha strengthens. And our motivation to practice strengthens. And then hopefully we will use that energy and that inspiration to meditate, to practice right speech, right action, right livelihood. So this is the actual practice we have to do. It's not enough just to go to the places, look around, and then expect, okay, I'm ready for Nibbana now. It's not going to work like this. But if you use the inspiration that you get at those locations, at those places, or during a pilgrimage, and then you harness the energy from that for the Dhamma practice, this is where the benefit comes from. But is it absolutely necessary? No. I know one very senior monk in our Theravada tradition who for almost his whole life as a monk, he never went to India and had never any interest in going on a pilgrimage. Yet he could practice well, could practice, study the Dhamma, and become a very eminent teacher in his own right. So going on a pilgrimage was not necessary for him, a factor. And many other Dhamma teachers, monks, laity, great practitioners, and even arahants have done so without ever going to India. In fact, in ancient times, anything before the last 100, 200 years, it was not easy to go to India if you are not born there. And would have been a very dangerous journey. You have to go in a ship, on a boat. And often half of those boats never come back. So that was not easy. So it's probably better to stay back and do your practice at home in your safe environment rather than risking your life on a dangerous journey. But that's why now we are in safe hands with Brother Enkyong. We hope it will not be so dangerous and we can do a safe pilgrimage to not have to die there. Even so, we've learned earlier, even if death were to happen on a pilgrimage, that would also be probably leading to a good rebirth because your heart is full of faith, of trust in the Buddha, in confidence, inspired. So if you pass away in that state, your rebirth will also be a good one. Well, as I said earlier, I myself very much looking forward to this journey together with all of you, exploring the holy sites, visiting them, strengthen our friendship in the Dhamma, our inspiration in the Dhamma. And this will also be wonderful occasions for practicing, listening the Dhamma, meditating, but also for seeing those places where the Buddha has meditated, Sariputta, and so on. So I'm very much looking forward to our journey. And today was our introduction session. We will do another Dhamma sharing next month and invite some Sangha members on a rotation basis. And you will see by the time we go on pilgrimage, we already know each other very well because we've been spending a lot of time together here in Zoom.